I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending July the 29th, where we just seem like we have more uncertainty, maybe unprecedented uncertainty in the market. It's just so surprising to look at the market each day, let alone each week or month, and see which direction it's going to go, because nobody has a feel for it at all. And there's just about as many arguments for going one way as there is the other. This past Monday, last week, it was awful surprising to see the markets go up the limit on a Monday there, but that's what happened. In your live cattle futures on the October contract, Monday was up $3 limit, Tuesday was up $1.50, Wednesday was still up some, up 47 cents. Thursday had seen enough and backed off almost $1, and then Friday was down 37 cents to end the week at 111.72, which was up 365 for the week. Your August spot contract is at 113.07 and done quite a bit to narrow that basis quite a bit there as of late. Feeder cattle on Monday was up 450, the limit on Monday, up 75 on Tuesday. Wednesday down just 17 cents, Thursday down $1.80, and Friday down 42 to end the week at 140.05 on the August contract, which was up $2.85 for the week. Your CME cash feeder cattle index ended the week at 142.49. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central all the way through Friday and some Saturday sales is at 143.75, so we expect that CME cash feeder index to come up a little bit more when it comes out on Monday here. But your fat cattle trade for the week didn't have any trade, a real standoff there until late Friday afternoon. And even though the board saw the big gains there, we know that the packers have a lot of captive supply there, and now your feeders don't have as much basis to work with, so they're going to be a little bit tougher to trade with. And it was just kind of a hard trade this week, but finally ended up with the Southern Plains just a buck higher, maybe spots two higher at 116 in Texas and Kansas. Northern Plains sold from 117 to 117 and a half on light live sales. Dress sales 186 to 188, mostly 186, which would be $1 to $3 higher. Had a pretty decent slaughter again, not quite as aggressive as we've been seeing and what we'd like to see, but for the week 581,000 head were slaughtered last week, which was down 14,000 from the previous week, but up 49,000 from the same week a year ago, which is a big deal. But you look at your box beef weekly trade, on the average weekly trade there, your choice carcasses are down 260 at 198.79. That's the first time that those choice carcass values have dipped below $200 this year. But your selects quite a ways back from there at 189.92, which was down 85 cents. But you look at what we're hoping this talk up with is your uncertainty in the markets, and really nobody has any idea what this thing is going to do. Some people feel like and have arguments that maybe we'll see a big recovery here. For a lot of the old timers and the guys that just watch fundamentals and kind of keep their eyes open going up and down the road, it kind of smells like there could be a wreck in the wake. So it's just hard to say. There's the few things that are going to be different going into this fall and winter is there's a lot more individuals and producers that are going to be feeding cattle than there has been for a long time. And I don't mean so much independent farmer feeders up in the northern plains, but talking about guys that had a lot of cattle turned out to graze this summer, and they were real unhappy and disappointed with what the market did as those yearlings come off. We didn't have near as many contract early, so they were really victims of the market there late in the summer or midsummer and going into this fall. The cattle are not going to make money. A lot of the guys that graze a lot of cattle haven't lost any money grazing those cattle for a while. They don't like it. You see a lot of big producers that run a lot of cattle, buy a lot of stockers, and turn a lot of cattle out. They sold some cattle, but maybe just sold half of their cattle, and they're going to feed the other half. But with all these people deciding to feed those yearlings off grass, it's always a positive. I think, in the market whenever you have individuals that are feeding cattle like they did in the old days. A little bit more transparency. You got guys fighting to get more for their cattle all the time, rather than just succumbing to a basis type trade or doing a contract deal. The guys, the corporates that have a lot of cattle on feed, and even your individuals that have a feed lot and feed a lot of cattle, they have to have some kind of a arrangement, because they've got cattle to sell every week, and then they've got to be able to get along with these packers and have some kind of arrangement where they know they're going to be able to get a decent market, or at least stay up with everybody else. But you get individuals in there doing it, they tend to want to maybe dig their heels in a little bit more, and it's just healthy for the market when you don't have so few people feeding all the cattle, and it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully this market coming in late this fall and early in the winter will be kind of decent, where those guys can make some money and maybe tend to feed cattle again maybe in the future. It's good for your custom feed yards that like to have customer cattle out there, and it's really a good thing. You look at what it might do on your feeder cattle there, not so much on your yearling feeders, which there's going to be good demand for your yearling feeders going into this fall. It's always going to be tough on your calves, but there's so many calves going to be coming in this fall, and there'll be a lot of big calves that'll have to go right on the feed. It's going to hurt your yearling market there, so you can expect your feeder cattle to kind of be depressed after we get through these tighter numbers here in the summer. But on your lighter calves, talk to some people that think that maybe the time, if you're going to buy some cattle for wheat or buy some cattle to dry winter, some lighter stocker cattle, to go ahead and get those cattle bought in the early fall instead of waiting, because so many of these people that are feeding cattle have got their money tied up. And even though they tend to buy their grass cattle earlier and earlier every year, and actually buying them in the fall to turn them out in the spring, they're just warming them up. But you know, there might be fewer people buying early, and they'll wait until they sell these fat cattle that they haven't fed for a long time, probably in December, and then they'll break out hard early next year to buy the cattle that they want to run the next time. But that's something to think about for some of you guys that have light calves to sell this fall. If you're not happy with the market, maybe you might want to think about finding a place to kind of dry winter those cattle and put some weight on them and hold them until we get closer to the end of the year or early next year to sell those. And it could be a better deal than selling them when there's so many of these fall calves going to be selling here before long. You look at this week's cash feeder cattle market, it was firm to $5 higher. It was a good steady to $3 higher in your early Monday sales, and then after the board closed up $4.50 on Monday, your midweek sales were really good in your feeder cattle auctions. You look at the individual quote on Cattle Market Central on Friday. You had the South Coffeyville Stockyards in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma. Just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sold 100 head of 845 pound steers at $140.35, and that's right in there in the market in that part of the country. And so from a home DV auction office here in Canyon, Texas, we'll talk to you on Wednesday.